Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Mulatto Vanguard. Just wanted to share something with you guys this evening. What's going on? Yeah, I had a stream planned out earlier today, pretty much about, divestors and some kind of pro-whack rhetoric as it pertains to mulatto people. Decided to kind of push that for another time. Get into this a little bit tonight, this evening. I have an article I want to share with you guys, but also just going over the kind of general concept of a cultural mulatto, the findings that we have here. So yeah, going right into it, right? A cultural mulatto, right? Cultural mulatto is a concept introduced by Trey Elias in his 1989 essay, The New Black Aesthetic. While the term mulatto typically refers to a person of mixed black and white ancestry, a cultural mulatto is defined by Elias as a black person, who is highly educated and usually a part of the a part of the middle or upper middle class, and therefore assimilates easily into traditionally white environments, right? So you don't have a lot of prime examples here, but there's an article that's tied to this that I do want to kind of jump in. But for the overview, so he writes, just as a genetic mulatto is a black person of mixed parents. Now, the interesting thing, so it's a political component. Like he states right here, just as a genetic mulatto, right? So genetic mulatto meaning European African ancestry. But it says here in this Wikipedia source is a quote black person of mixed parents. It would be a mixed person with mixed parents or of a monoracial parents, from my understanding. But it's kind of tricky, analyzing the semantics, right? They're saying here, just as a genetic mulatto is a black person. Well, partially. Go to an all black nation and see if that sits well. Someone who looks like me going there, I'm just as black as you. I've never told a black person in my life that I'm just as black as you, because it's not true. It's false. I've told people, well, you're blacker than me, which is a fact, right? But I've never, come to the conclusion, well, I'm just as black as you. It's about culture and my blood and all this. No, I've heard people say that, mixed people, so to speak, have tried to convince black people, I'm just as black as you. I've never pulled that crap. I've always known that to be kind of foolishness and just a false statement. What I'm saying here is how they kind of label us all as just kind of black, I guess in political terms, right? Because that's kind of what black means as well in the United States. It's kind of a class status. Of mixed parents who can often get along fine with his white grandparents, right? A cultural mulatto educated by a multiracial mix of cultures can also navigate easily in the white world. This is true. Can also navigate easily in the white world. So what the pro-wax will push is that a conspiracy theory that, well, the whites put us in positions to kind of rule and govern over the black population, which is false. So that's kind of my job, is to combat the pro-whack conspiracy theories pushed by people like, the Chancellor Williams, the destruction of black civilization, people like Jason Black with the whack authority, and like Tariq Rashid. A lot of these people, they have these conspiracy theories that we're put in positions to govern the black population when it's not true. That could be true in some cases. We can see in high level politics, right? Maybe even you say, Kamala Harris, for example, I give you that. But a lot of us just work hard. We persevere through a lot of, adversity. We overcome adversity, and we're extremely versatile. And like it says here, it can also navigate easily in the white world. That's one of the major components. I know for me, that's been the case within academia, the university I went to, and in other social circles. I'm able to navigate a lot of different spaces that maybe a monoracial person can't, because of the kind of me being versatile. So continuing on, says cultural mulattoes are skillful code switchers, which I agree. Linguistically, kind of we call the colloquialisms in our way to express ourselves. I know for me, for instance, I kind of pride myself in that. Not only am I a speech major, but my ability to kind of express myself eloquently, right? I definitely pride myself in that. So I can hold my own in different spaces depending on where I'm at. So we are indeed skillful code switchers. I agree. Alternating between multiple languages during conversation. And they may be equally comfortable around blacks as around whites. This is true indeed. I don't fear any blacks. I don't fear whites. I try to see where people are at and take it from there. Members of the new black aesthetic, this is this gentleman's concept, Elias, are typically cultural mulattoes. Their ability for easy interaction with both blacks and whites is what ultimately allows cultural mulattoes opportunities for class and status upward mobility. That's what I just asserted to right there as well. How a lot of pro-wax, because the thing is with the pro-wax, they defend like the criminals, the scumbags. They defend all the worst people. Just as long as you're black, you're a Kang, you're a Quang, and they defend you, right? And any kind of like, bad behavior or anything negative associated with you, well, that's the white man's fault. That's the system of white supremacy. That's, the victimhood mentality. So they got to blame somebody if they can't perform to other groups, right? And so what this gentleman here is stating is that cultural mulattoes opportunities for class and status upward mobility. And essentially, it's our ability for easy interaction. We understand the language, we can code switch, and we can navigate these different spaces. So that's a general thing I do agree with. I wanted to share that. Some examples I have here: Bill Cosby's daughter, Barack Obama, which I think one of the articles I'm going to dive into kind of highlights that, which he's the most obvious one because of the highest office in the land, right? Was able to ascend to. And then some other people here. So my thumbnail has actually a photograph of Andrew Tate. I don't have any clips to share of Andrew Tate, but I definitely wanted to kind of show an image of him because I would definitely put him, he falls in line with that kind of criteria, right? So, because the man is like well-spoken, obviously, right? He's extremely well-spoken and expresses himself very well and makes great points. And that's why, his status, you can say what you want. I know they kicked him off YouTube and kicked him off all the other platforms. But that's just the nature of how things are. If you speak up against the status quo, we'll drop the hammer down on you in many cases. So let me zoom this up. I'll get to your guys' comments. Go ahead, leave some comments. And getting right to this. So just for disclaimer, it's HuffPost, whatever Huffington Post. Okay, I'm not, I don't really, I'm not their typical kind of audience, so to speak. Like I don't, but this is, information I do want to cover because they're talking about it, so why not? But yeah, appreciate you showing up. Notice that it distinguishes the genetic mulatto versus cultural, meaning that mulatto is a biological definition. Yeah, definitely. That's definitely a fact. It is a biological situation. And there's people who've made assertions, stating that, well, because, it's a genetic component, European and African ancestry, right? Typically 50-50 when we think about it. Black parent, white parent, so to speak. But I don't agree with this whole assertion that if two mulattoes have children, that child is an MGM. Nobody in the world respects that terminology, an MGM, multi-generationally mixed. We have to be kind of finite in how we define things. To me, that's internet talk, and it's not really supported with a lot of data. It's kind of hipster, kind of so-called sophisticated language that doesn't really have a real-life legal basis. So I stray away from terminology like MGM. I'm specific when I say mulatto. So my understanding, if two mulatto people like Swiss Beats and Alicia Keys, they come together, they have a child, the child's mulatto. Okay. And I think even what's her name's here, Fairy, she shared a video about that on her channel. Check out her channel. And I do want to cover it because that TikToker kind of the video you shared was of a TikToker who made that assertion. And that TikToker said some interesting things. So yeah, I appreciate you jumping in here. We got Magic. MGM has to do with generations, not race per se. Yeah, the thing is with the whole MGM component, in my understanding, it's a way for monoracial people to creep into kind of mixed race spaces, or essentially people who are only kind of identified with one racial group. They can say that their great 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 granddaddy's cousin is 25% white, so therefore they're mixed, and they can, they're mixed. So just, that's what I see it. So I've only been around in the golden sewer for a few months. And, as a content creator, I've been on YouTube for like a decade, but uploading content, live streaming, all this kind of stuff, I've only been doing this for a few months. But definitely surrounded within the golden sewer. And so looking at the terminology of MGM, a lot of the people I see that are praising this MGM kind of acronym, these are people who are only monoracially identified. They identify with one racial group. And I don't know, depending on their genetic mixture or genetic makeup, but for me, I classify myself as a mulatto, okay? So if I decide to cohabitate or, have children with a mulatto woman, in my understanding, my child will be classified as a mulatto child, not an MGM. So I don't push the whole MGM thing. That's other channels, but yeah. So good to see you guys here. Diving into the article. So Obama is kind of their I guess you could say, quintessential cultural mulatto, I guess you can say. I coined the term cultural mulatto to describe people who, like myself, who, because of how we were raised, can easily navigate both the white world and black. So the contributor, I guess I can, for kind of reference, so it's HuffPost. HuffPost. Let me share what the contributor actually looks like for reference. So it's a monoracial man, but I guess because of his, interesting. Yeah, it makes sense now, right? Why he's kind of contributing to our population, our upward, trajectory, or growth trajectory, I should say. So thank you to this gentleman, because this beautiful thing, he's definitely contributing for us, so we can kind of form our group. But also academically, he's providing his insights. But for my analysis, why his partner, he grew up around in white circles, white schools, I'm guessing, so he can definitely identify with white people, which makes his partner kind of a good match for him, I would say. But this is the author, the contributor, Elias. Yeah, same gentleman, right? Trey Elias, yeah. This is a contributor here. Let me see. Yeah, same gentleman here. Trey Elias, American novelist, 60 years old, from Washington, D.C. He's won some awards or nominations: Primetime Emmy Award, Outstanding Writing. These are some of his movies, contributions, his published books. So just wanted to share that for background information. Yeah. So I'm going to go back into the article and jump into that. Then I have a clip I wanted to share as well. So yeah, it's a HuffPost. Like I said, I don't really read this type of stuff, but this covering something that I think we should talk about. Because who else is going to talk about this? I mean, if you want someone to talk about mulatto issues, you want a mulatto to talk about it, okay? I mean, this gentleman can contribute, but we can definitely analyze it. But he's going out here creating us, so I do appreciate that for sure. So I bit my tongue for as long as I could, reading essay after essay about Obama and his, quote, blackness, that were about as insightful as if they'd been written in the era of Flip Wilson. Geez, doesn't anybody watch the Disney Channel these days? The complexion of America has changed in the last 30 years. Our antebellum notions of race, like the, quote, one drop rule, one drop of black and you are black, no longer make any sense in this new millennium. I agree, sir. And I did talk about that, the 1924 Racial Integrity Act. The one drop policy is obsolete. So we got to keep pushing that. I know I am. I don't know what you guys are doing. I think a lot of you will join me and join us as a collective in establishing our own unique independent classification here in North America. So the same tired antebellum thinking was aimed at Colin Powell, for sure. Fair-skinned man. Oh, he's a black man, the first black defense secretary. And you look at him, it's like, yeah, right. When he was being touted as a presidential contender, although he was born in Harlem, USA, some whites and blacks insisted that he was really a closeted Jamaican because of his Jamaican parents. The fact that the discourse has not progressed one black IP in a generation makes me want to dive headfirst from the top to the nearest basketball rim. I wrote an article entitled The New Black Aesthetic about the ever expanding and fluid definitions of blackness and black art in 1989. I'm surprised to say that the article is still taught in universities and cited in academic papers and will be the focus of an upcoming synopsism at Harvard in March. In the essay written way back when Reagan roamed the earth, I coined the term cultural mulatto to describe people like myself who, because of how we were raised, can easily navigate both the white world and black world. Now, the thing is, this is a monoracial black man, but he identifies with mulatto people because of what he states of how he was raised, right? I coined the term cultural mulatto to describe people like myself, meaning a black man, because of how we were raised, can easily navigate both the white world and black world. Okay, yeah. You can read it here. It is in its entirety, but the highlights that most apply to Obama and the simple-minded misconceptions about him spouted by black pundits and white are as follows. I had somebody say once my black was way too black, and someone answered, she's not black enough for me. Yeah, we hear that a lot, right? I think some people have said you're kind of too black for a lot of white people, but then you're too white for a lot of black people. But that's why we're here today. That's why we're talking today. That's why we're having this discussion, so we can create our own spaces, our own groups, our own networks, and of course, our own secret societies. You have people, within the Golden Sewer and these other places who are just, I'm not a divisive individual. I think the good thing about us is because a lot of us, we have a cultured background. We can get along with other different groups, which makes us versatile and we can adapt. But we need to preserve our identity and who we are. We can't let people use us for their own needs and erase our identity, which a lot of people are trying to do. It's why it's important for us to speak up and let it be known we're here and we are going to protect our identity and who we are. Just as a genetic mulatto is a black, okay, this was from the Wikipedia, right? Black person of mixed parents who often can get along fine with his white grandparents. A cultural mulatto educated by a multiracial mix of cultures can also easily navigate into the white world. And it is by and large this rapidly growing group of cultural mulattoes that fuels the NBA. Yeah, we talked about that with the significant mass, the 2022 NBA draft, even like the championships, not just the draft, but the championships. You have, Steph Curry, who's a mulatto. Both of his parents are mulattoes. He's a mulatto and his children are mulattoes. That is the beautiful thing when I look at the Curry family. They are a representation, a model of the kind of intergenerational, I guess you can say, mulatto coupling, right? Yeah. We no longer need to deny or suppress any part of our complicated and sometimes contradictory cultural baggage to please either white people or black. That's the thing. Cultural mulatto Cosby girls are equally as black as a black teenager welfare mother. I don't know about that, though. The culturally mulatto Cosby girls are easily as black as a black teenage welfare mother. I don't know what the welfare mother, that whole struggle queen component, has to do with anything. I'm not entirely sure why that's important. That's more of a class situation. Today's cultural mulattoes echo those, quote, tragic mulattoes critics Sterling Brown wrote about in the 30s, only when they too forgot they are wholly black. Most self-deluding cultural mulattoes desperately fantasize themselves the children of William F. Buckley. However, a minority affect instead super blackness and try to dream themselves back to the ghetto. Yeah, that would be like Michi X. A minority effect instead super blackness. That's Michi X, right? And even some of the people, the mulatto people in the Golden Sewer who are extra black, and to them, being black is like it's like synonymous. It's comparable to being ghetto to a lot of people. The way they talk, the way they communicate, the way they act. which is sad. That's not how I see it. For me, kind of connecting with authentic blackness would be more rooted in kind of traditional African cultures, which are patriarchal cultures, patriarchy, and also heteronormative cultures. So for me, connect like when I took my trip to Ghana, that would be a way of me connecting with my blackness, not any of these hoods or any of this crap you see in the States, which to me is, yeah. So continuing on and try to dream themselves back into the ghetto, yeah, EGX. Either way, they are letting other people define their identity. Not anymore, we're not. Either way, they are letting other people define their identity. Like, see, I wanted to share about like the divestors because you got people like, these people are really talking smack. These divestors. Synthetic Weave, Cynthia G, and some of the other knuckleheads. Like they want to talk about us like they know us, like they live in our shoes. That's why we got to get our ass up here and start talking in the microphone, letting people know, no, 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 that's not how it works. We're going to tell you who we are. We're not going to let you define us and throw out these conspiracy theories and try to kind of punk us and push us back into blackness to serve you as a mule. Those days are ending just because the numbers warrant it. There's too many of us that are growing now. Thanks to this gentleman as well, who's a contributor, who published this article, who's creating more of us. So thank you. Even these knucklehead divestors who want to talk smack because they look at mulatto women as their competition and white women, especially mulatto women with white moms. They're gonna, get themselves a Brad. They're gonna help contribute our numbers, and they think, I'm gonna talk about that another day, guys. But it's very interesting. Either way, letting other people define their identity. Today, there are enough young blacks torn between the two worlds that we can finally go out and create our own. But the thing is, though, what is he talking about? Today, there are enough young blacks. So I would say, like I already stated, today there are enough young mulattoes that are not necessarily torn between both worlds. They're navigating both worlds. And we finally realize, well, we can create our own space, our own communities, our own networks. And we like each other, from my understanding. So like I said, I know you got some criminals here on YouTube, not here, not in my space or my channel, but in YouTube, the Golden Sewer, you got some criminals and, fraud artists who want to divest from biracial women. Well, I'm not here to do that. I promote mulatto coupling. I promote mulatto coupling. I promote mulatto people, men and women, having our own communities, our own societies, and preserving our culture and identity. So I'm not divesting from black, white, biracial women. That's not what I'm doing. So go to the criminals channel. Don't come to me with that. The new black aesthetic says you just have to be natural. You don't necessarily have to wear one. Yeah, just be yourself. You're mixed. You come from two backgrounds. You share two different cultures. Embrace those cultures. When we talk about mulatto, we're saying black and white, European, African. Embrace those cultures. Lisa and Kelly Jones, 25 and 28, are Amari Bracara, Leroy Jones, and Hetty Cohen's daughters. Okay. Their parents were divorced when the children were young. They were raised primarily by their Jewish mother. I was always searching for the black, says Lisa. Overcompensating as a kid. I had a lot of options, but I chose blackness. Yeah. A lot of us realize today, too, we have a lot of options. I'm in my early 30s. We have options. I mean, just based on my enculturation process, how I was raised. I wasn't raised in the hood, I can proudly say. You can probably tell, I guess. Listen to me. I don't, to me, it's not a flex. I'm not impressed when someone tries to come to me telling me that they're from the hood, they're raised. I'm not impressed. Go back, go to the hood, stay there. I'm good. I don't associate with criminals. I'm more of an academic. I associate with people who are academics, people who are smarter than me, people who can share with me. That's what I kind of look at this platform for, because I appreciate a lot of people who have shared information with me. A lot of these concepts and these ideas, were shared with me, and I'm sharing it with you guys so we can all learn from each other. This is an educational platform. I'm doing my best to make it drama-free. So Ray Dong Chung says she's Cherokee Chinese white. Look in a mirror, Ray. You are black. Go try and marry a effing Kennedy and see how black you are. Oh, Chris Rock, 19. So I guess when he was 19 years old. Chris Rock is a monoracial black man, which I do think he's probably the best stand-up comedian, or the funniest. I wouldn't say not best, but the funniest for me. especially like 20 years ago. I was a big fan of Chris Rock. I know he got kind of punked and slapped by Will Smith several months back, but yeah, he's really funny. But he's trying to basically put what a lot of them do. They pressure, especially see he's a man trying to pressure the woman. You're black, so you gotta just be black and be with us because they want sexual access to the women. So the monoracial black men will more so pressure the mulatto women, or in this case, she's kind of multiracial woman. To only you're black, you gotta only identify black, yeah, because they want access to them. Ray Dong Chong, I'm pretty sure you guys are aware of who she is, right? I'll get to your guys' comments, but this is great. I was gonna comment on that as well, man, because yeah, she's a baby mama. How the hell are you gonna divest when you got knocked up by a pookie? What are you gonna divest from? I mean, the psychology of some of these people is so hilarious, man. But I'm gonna get into that another time because they keep talking about biracial people. It's like, really, guys, we're at a point now where a lot of us just got to start clapping back, and kind of combat the foolishness and conspiracy theory. So, since slavery, some people in the muddy racial middle have had the choice of which race to claim. My Octoroon grandmother passed for white when it served her interests, such as shopping for groceries for her and all her darker skinned friends in the white neighborhoods where the markets had fresher produce and cheaper prices. When Obama was growing up in the 70s, black and white America, like hostile divorcing parents, still made mixed kids chose sides. He chose black, and I say welcome. So, yeah, that's the end of the article. So, what I want to add on this as well is we do have an older gentleman in the space. I do appreciate his, expertise and information. He's a parent, and his platform is mainly based on parenting, but he does cover biracial topics as J4 Conversations. He's definitely contributing to the whole kind of mulatto, black, white, biracial discussion. But definitely I think he's in his 50s, I believe. So he was definitely growing up in the 70s. And what me and him, we talk and we refer to it, collectively as a generational nuance. So in this time period, kind of though America was a lot more racialized, I guess you can say then as it is now, where the lines were more kind of, definite, the black and white. A lot of people then, they chose to go black there was no other option. But today there's an option. Well, we can kind of create our own option, create our own lane. That's kind of what we're doing here, discussing. So, yeah. Let's see, I got something else I want to share with you guys as well. I'm going to jump to your comments right now, actually. So let me go back up. Oh, yeah, bear with me, guys. Yep, he's on point with the one drop rule being outdated. Yeah. And right here, MGM is pretty broad. Yeah, I think there was a YouTuber in this space who broke down the historical labels of people who had various amounts of African ancestry. Can't recall who made that video. Yeah. So you're talking about the African ancestry. So like was it the rabbit fence? There was kind of a presentation based on that with the whole mulatto, which would be me, black, white, quadroon, which is quad is a quarter. 1/4 quarter, and then the octoroon, which is 1/8, and that's based off African percentage of African blood. But yeah, the MGM thing, the way I see it, there's people who are like fully monoracially black. Okay, like they're just black people, and then they can have maybe an Indian grandparent or a half white great grandparent or whatever, and they'll just say they're MGM. So that's essentially what a lot of the golden sewer is. It's a lot of black people who are pretending to be mixed, right? And it's a big mess. I'm very specific because I'm obviously an academic, right? And I appreciate other academics and, sharing information, kind of a think tank, so to speak. So I like to be specific in how I identify things. I don't really play the goofy games and, ambiguity, you would say. Up due to interpretation, today it can mean this, today it can mean that. I want things that are historically relevant and there's like a reference for it. When I say mulatto, people know exactly what I'm talking about. Yep, he's on point with the one drop. Yeah, for sure. Fluid equals, who, yeah, fluid, the gender fluidity, that or stuff like that. Yeah, I stray away from the whole fluid language. Interesting. Wow, how mulattoes who can be culturally black, and he says he's a monoracial who is culturally mulatto and identify with us. Well, and the thing is, it's and he's creating us, which I applaud him for. And hopefully he'll enculturate his children, give them history, and that he doesn't, force them to only identify as black. Because when you see biracial or interracial couples, black white, typically the black side, they'll definitely try to force their identity onto that child and be like, well, the world's going to see you as black. That's not true. Not their black peer group. Their black peer group's going to be jealous of them because they're lighter skinned. They're going to pressure them and pick on them and stuff like that. So the world doesn't just see them as being black. Like I said, like I've done, go to an all black nation. They're going to tell you, not all, there's a lot of people who like you, but there's going to be people that will tell you, you're not like me. You're an outsider. You're not black, right? So the world will not see you as black. Now America's a majority white nation. So in American context, so for sure, in a lot of the white circles and places where white people are dominant at, they will let you know that you're different than from their group. That's true, but you got to travel more, and get a sense of where things are at to get a real understanding. So I think a lot of these parents, these interracial parents, they're really doing their children a disservice by kind of forcing the kind of black culture on them and not sharing the other elements of what there is there to share. We welcome you to our culture, sir. Yeah, the gentleman who contributed to the piece. I've heard some monoracial people say they can identify with us mulattoes a lot, and I know I kind of understand why. Yeah, there's a gentleman here. I have a couple videos where we've talked and discussed. He's Angst Vision, and he's a cool gentleman. I think, yeah, there's definitely people who are monoracial who can identify with us, especially if they kind of were, I guess you can say enculturated around white people or white circles, I guess you can say. They definitely could kind of understand some nuances, some cultural nuances and subtleties that have experienced growing up. So there is something to say about that. Oh, is that James Maps? Oh, it's not James Maps. Okay. Hey, what's up, Katie? Good to see you again. Appreciate you stopping by. Sinji helped me find this space. Wow. How did that come about? Please tell me. How did Sinji help you? Oh, the space. You mean the golden sewer? Yeah, because she probably kicked you out because she's jealous of you. You look like a mulatto woman. So, I mean, that's pretty much her, yeah, she's jealous of that. Yeah, if you do, I don't know why you're here. You go over there with her. Yeah, Becky and Brad's kids. Yeah. How is it that she can, that's what I don't understand. Like, does she want a white guy, or what? Because I know I've heard she has a child by a Pookie, and she's like has buyer's remorse, right? She's just jealous. So, yeah, like I don't understand. And it says they are already divested. Yeah, that's me. My mommy is Irish and Italian. Yeah. Cynthia G will be jealous of you. She has a lot of content. And the divestors, they specifically do not like the biracial mulatto people with white moms. Katie, me too. Yeah, your mom's British and Lithuanian. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they hate on us. Even Miranda from the UK has stated that as well. From her experience being in the UK, typically we're hated a lot. They're jealous of us. We're the majority of mulattoes in America. I think even in Europe as well, our white mom, black father, mulattoes. So how are they going to come to us talking funny when we're the majority of mulatto people? It's like, okay, go somewhere else. Obama, the highest office, black dad, white mom. Yeah, mulatto mermaid. For real, not James RC. And then you have, oh lordy, you're lighter than her. Romanian gypsy born in Philly. Vanguard, I'm half Greek, Native American, and half Italian. Romanian gypsy born in Philly. Half Greek, Native American, and half Italian, for sure. and it says Squeak. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, yeah, you're talking about Ray Dong Chong. Let me actually pull that up. Why not? Because a gentleman, like you said, she's been in a lot of things. She was in she had a scene in like the Highlander in an episode, or she was not in a scene, but she was in an episode of Highlander. This is Tommy Chong's daughter, and also she was in Commando with Arnold Schwarzenegger. She's been in a lot of stuff. Yeah, Commando, Quest for Fire, The Color Purple, like you said, Squeak, Ray Dong Chung. So she's multiracial, right? Yeah, but she definitely kind of aesthetically appears to be like a mulatto for sure. You'd say biracial, but because her father is white and Chinese, Tommy Chong, and her mother's black. So yeah, so that's her in Color Purple, right? Yeah, and this is her now. So yeah, yeah, she's definitely been in a lot of stuff in Hollywood, and her brother as well is an actor. So, um, and then Abby. So I have a clip here I'll share with you guys. Just want to kind of scroll through some of the comments real quick. Do you know the show ABFAB? I haven't seen it, so I got to check it out. People can culture identify however they want, I suppose. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. I'm not really trying to, I don't pressure people or anything how they identify. I just don't want people kind of stealing my identity and then speaking for me when they don't have my experience, right? And what I mean by that, yeah, because there's people who are black identified or they're from the black culture, black monolith, they serve blacks, and then they want to come to me and they want to try to force me to be on code with them, like the hood code, so to speak, and serve them. I'm not, no, no, no. I don't welcome criminals here. This is a academic. This page is for, and if you committed a crime or whatever, I mean, I don't support hood culture and ghetto culture. I don't. Biracial and proud. Haven't heard of her. I'm mulatto and culture identify with mulatto culture for sure. Yeah, and that's what this article I kind of demonstrated was this concept of being cultural mulatto, essentially being versatile, being able to navigate white spaces and black spaces, and the language is a major component, being able to code switch. So there's a certain language and way you speak when you're in white peer groups, just like a way you would speak if you're in certain black peer groups, right? A lot of people hate that word though. I think it's a beautiful word. Yeah, I appreciate you and sharing that with the channel too. I think you're gonna find a lot of people actually, you know, don't like the word. There's a lot of people who do. A lot of us are embracing it as well. Um, we're just in that time now. The numbers warrant it. The growth trajectory. We're here. We're not hiding. There's a lot of pressure in society. A lot of people, monoracials, are going to be against us because what we represent in a lot of ways unity between different racial groups, between different monoracial groups coming together, forming a union, having a child. We represent that, our presence, because it was illegal in America for interracial relationships. So we were kind of not permitted to exist in society in a lot of ways, but we're here now. We're growing. Like, what was the song by Nirvana, Kurt Cobain, where he says, we're here now, entertain us, mulatto, right? Yeah, yeah, a lot of people don't like the word because of the historical reference, and I made videos about that as well. But I embrace it because the exposure of it and the etymology, obviously, from the Arabic world to the Spanish world to then English kind of vocabulary, utilizing it. People around the world know the word. I heard the word. I was in Ghana, West Africa. People in South America familiar. People in Asia, like the Philippines, which is kind of Spanish influence, they're familiar with it. In Europe, North America, around the planet, people are familiar with it. So I'm going to use it, and we can all kind of discuss if there's anything that is worthwhile, anything other that's comparable. So you say MV, that's a video. Yeah, for sure. It says, I reclaim the word mulatto. I think it's a positive thing. Yeah. And you have your title. So you definitely get major points with me having it in your title, I like the word mulatto too. You too. There's a sense of historical pride as well. Definitely, it ties us in with the culture, the history of us, and who we are as a people. I gave an example. Even Dr. Claude Anderson, his wife is a mulatto, so he's definitely falls in line with that. And then you have, like I said, shared with Steph Curry and his wife Alicia, and even like Steph Curry's parents are both mulattoes. So it's kind of a continuing tradition. A lot of us, we've coupled together throughout history, but with the one drop policy, established in the 1924, the Racial Integrity Act, they want to throw us back into blackness and be absorbed because they don't want us to be a comparable independent group in America. They want to put us in that caste, that lower caste system. That's what the policies have done in this nation. But as you can see, a lot of us, we like each other. We like how we look. We like our aesthetic. We appreciate our aesthetic. I know I do. I've never been insecure. I don't want to be anything else. I like who I am. And I've never really had that insecurity. I remember I worked with a gentleman, and I'll just say briefly, I actually appreciate with you because you have on your channel, you have like you Mulatto Mafia is what you call it, because I know you're from NYC as a name in your title, Abby NYC. Um, but you definitely, I know you appreciate the word too, so I appreciate that. But what I was going to say is there was a gentleman I worked with before, in Anaheim at the Angel Stadium, the baseball stadium. And the gentleman was like, I was working with him one day. He was like, "Oh man, I wished I was one race. I didn't wish I was black or white." Or he said he didn't wish he was mixed. He wished he was one. Where I've never felt that. This was a while ago that I heard this guy say that, like 7 years or something ago. I've never felt that. I've always loved the ability that I have to like express myself and identify with these two different cultures, the white culture and the black culture in America. I've always loved that about myself, that I feel like I have an advantage. I feel like a lot of people, especially where a lot of the jealousy comes from black society, they look at it as we have like an unfair advantage, like the proximity to whiteness and our ability to kind of connect with them in a lot of ways. It's always been a blessing to me. It's never been a curse, nothing tragic about my life. So, you know, the whole tragic mulatto concept kind of gets thrown out the door. It's never been relevant or connected to me. All my family is dark skinned. I'm white, like my mom, and use my white privilege when paying a ticket, getting deals. Okay. Yes, she was talking crazy about that, and I was like, "That's not right." Did some research and found, yeah, yeah, that's naturally what they'll do because they're jealous of us. They look at us as competition, so they'll push us out of their circles. They force us to create our own circles, our own spaces, so to speak. And then what happens is when we do create our own spaces, you're going to see them creep in here and navigate in here and try to. And then what they're all going to say is, "We're all mixed." Black people will push that today. They've been pushing it for a few years now. Well, we're all mixed, so we're all the same people. We're not. There's a clear difference between mulattoes, black, white, biracials, and someone who is, monoracially black. Complete difference. But you have a lot of people who will come into the space, into so-called mixed spaces, and try to claim that we're all mixed when they pushed us out. They told us we weren't black enough, right? We got a white mom, that somehow, we serve white supremacy and all that. It's like, okay, we gotta create our own spaces. That's what we're here doing. And you say Sinji's new claim is that you just need a biracial man to have. I know. I had a video I was gonna share about that, but I'm gonna push the video back for another date, um, just for some technical aspects and gathering data, because I do want to cover that. She makes a lot of foolish claims. She's not the only one. Some of her minions within the divestors kind of spaces. I've been kind of analyzing some of the videos that they've been kind of putting out, and I got to question some of it. Katie, you look very nice. Good point on people stealing identity and trying to speak for us. Yeah, I'm not going to drop names, but there were some people I've heard try to say that, and I'm just like, no, I don't claim you. You're not one of us. I'm not going to let them do that. Try to steal our identity. Yeah, appreciate you guys showing up. A lot of comments here. Very interesting article. Thank you for sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The lyrics of that of Kurt Cobain says the word mulatto, right? You pull it up. Uh, I think it's kind of relevant, right, to the discussion. Let me see what we got. Hear the lights out, it's less dangerous. The chorus, right? Here we are now, entertain us. I feel stupid and contagious. Here we are now, entertain us. A mulatto, an albino, mosquito, my libido, right? That's always stuck out to me. Of course, I didn't know what the word mulatto meant until like a decade ago, at a community college, just doing researching like black history, so to speak. Then the word mulatto popped up because it's kind of an archaic word. Like I said, this ties into the history and American policy because they want to steal our identity and they want to kind of place us in a lower caste. They want to prevent us from upward mobility. They want to dump us into blackness, right? To be mules, essentially. So they've definitely tried to destroy our identity with a lot of these policies and stuff. But yeah, and I remember this. So this song was wrote in 1991, and so that word it's kind of hid. It hid in the lyrics, the chorus, right? I don't really hear anyone reference that this white man, this Kurt Cobain, this great artist, American artist, put the words in his song. It's definitely resonated with me when I took a look at it. When the lights out, it's less dangerous. Here we are now, entertain us. I feel stupid and contagious. Here we are now, entertain us. A mulatto, an albino, a mosquito, my libido. Yeah. I can play this song on a guitar, by the way, because I can play. One day I'll show you guys. But yeah, this channel is mulatto history, education. But obviously I like mixed martial arts. I like boxing, jiu-jitsu. I like music. I have a lot of interest. But there's a lot of content out there for stuff like that. But we really need to push this mulatto specific content, share the history, share the information. People got to be informed. And the ultimate goal is to create our own spaces, right? Oh, you just shared the lyrics right here too. Interesting. Yeah, entertain us, contagious here. Yes. Yeah, I'm kind of slow on the comments. I apologize. Well, it actually does make sense because he's talking about the Generation X, the new generations coming in, how there's the sense the kind of the loving in Virginia. It was over the anti-miscegenation laws were overturned. So therefore black and white people can come together and create families, unions, have offspring. So there's a rising emergence of mulatto people. So that's kind of what the song alludes to, from my understanding. Then again, with music and lyrics, it's very metaphoric. So it's kind of due to interpretation. I felt like that before. It would be easier to be monoracial, but I've embraced, I've never felt like that. Oh, I want to be black, you black, or I want to be white. I like who I am. But I worked with a dude who was like that. I'm half Cornish and half Jamaican in the house. Cool. So I see you guys jumping in here. Angry by Rachel channel and his goofy blocked me from his channel for stating your opinion. Yeah, it smells like Teen Spirit. I went over the lyrics, kind of how it connects, how the word mulatto is like slipped in there. And to me, it's relevant. I feel like the men in this space are 1,000 times more about gatekeeping our identity than the women. Like me, I know. And that's one of the things, but most of the men want to be exclusive. Something I've noticed, of course. There's a kind of a communal feel with a lot of women, right? And I get that. But it depends who you talk to. So yeah, there's a level of exclusivity that is everybody gatekeeps in all cultures. That's how they preserve their culture, is they have barriers, cultural barriers. All groups do that, and it's a way to protect yourself. It's a protection kind of defense mechanism. And if you want to stay at the bottom, then I guess just let everyone in so they can steal from you, and then of course put you back in the square one where you're muling for them. But with me, I'm just no. I've seen it happen, played out too many times, and I'm definitely trying to preserve something. He said the mixed race man need to separate from the. Yeah, you're talking about the criminal guy. Yeah, I know. Magic, I've noticed that too, but I think that can be a positive thing. At least we have men who want to protect us and our identity. Yeah, that's the thing. Because the thing is, with a lot of black women, they'll claim you like Kamala Harris if it benefits them. But at the same time, they'll call you a preference. They'll throw slurs at you and slander you. Oh, you're taking the good black man. You're black men's preference. See, they'll slander you and throw you under the bus because they look at you as competition. But they'll claim you for an achievement. Oh, she's the first black vice president, blah blah blah. Meghan Markle, she's a black princess. See, and the men play the same game with us. That's why we need our own spaces. They'll claim all of our excellence and expertise as a quote black win, a black historical fact, when it's not. It's a mulatto historical excellence. And that's what they do. They play that game with us, and I'm not going to play it anymore. I'm in my early 30s. I'm done playing it. I've in my 20s, I kind of, observed a lot of that. I'm done playing that. No, yeah. They only want to claim something when we do something of excellence they can benefit from, or it makes them look good. Other than that, a lot of them, I'm not saying all, I'm not generalizing. I'm not an, absolutist, but I'm saying a lot of them, and you've experienced that with Cynthia G. They'll look at you as competition, throw you under the bus. So no. With Spanish people, be considered one world mulatto. As a mixed person, I was always wondered, are we internationally being colonized? Yeah, I don't know your kind of heritage configuration. If you are mestizo, they do have a word for that. Like you said, like Spanish people. Because the thing is with Spain and Europe, from my understanding, Spain, if you look at the history of Spain, it was like colonized, right, by the Ottoman Turks and the North African, like the Arabic soldiers and a lot of Moors, Berbers. So they definitely interbred with the people there. And that's kind of where the word mulatto was more generally kind of entered into the lexicon, even though, like we've said, it comes from an Arabic word. I can't pronounce it. I apologize. Even though I've studied, linguistics, I definitely got to study more of this stuff. But yeah, a lot of the people in like Latin America are, mixed, obviously indigenous and European, which is mestizo. And then you said in Spain, so it depends where you're at. Yeah. Yeah, it's good. We are supposed to be different, and I support people who want to have exclusive space. Yeah. Yeah. Always thought that Spanish Castilians were a part of the white. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure, you guys. I appreciate you sharing. I definitely go back and look it up to see exactly what that's all about. Caucasian, you said you don't have a country without borders. Yeah. Yeah, that's what Donald Trump definitely is promoting. You don't have borders, you don't have a country, right? And that's the whole analysis. These all-inclusive people, they don't even want nationhood. They don't want a country. We're all friends. We're all together. It's just unrealistic. And they're going to be placed at the bottom to serve those who do have parameters and borders established. It is what it is, Some people, they're just going to have to live a little longer. They'll learn, African and Irish. Browning. Okay, what's up, Mulatto Sensei? I think as long as we are not hating on other people and making sure we defend ourselves right from unjust criticism, then we are being balanced and fair. But we get too much smoke. Exactly. That's the thing. Thank you for pointing that out. That's why I don't really promote drama on the channel. I might make a couple comments here and there, but this is definitely educational purposes, educating the public. All of us here, we're sharing information. And that's the thing, like we don't need to start conflicts with other groups. We just want to preserve our identity and who we are. We don't want outsiders coming in trying to claim our victories and steal our identity from us, or like interlopers, just trying to intermingle and have access to us. Like we do have to preserve and protect ourselves. And we get a lot of criticism, like you've said, from the divestors, the pro-wax, all these different places. They criticize us heavily. It's funny because people say, like a lot of the pro-wax will say, well, why did the biracials, they only attack black people? How come they don't attack white people? Well, white people, they don't really have like videos that I'm aware of where they're just attacking mulattoes and calling us confused and this and that, or agents to whites. I see most of the negative comments and the negative conspiracies on mulatto people coming from the pro-wax and divestors. So of course we have to talk about that. And we get like you said, unjust criticism. We get too much smoke. So we got to kind of, at some point in time, people got to start questioning this stuff. Yeah, like you said, mulawad. I've heard another term as well, but interesting. I agree. We all got to be fighting. Yeah, that's what I'm doing here for sure. Appreciate that. So actually, anybody from the original parts of Europe are considered Caucasians or white, which means they can and could be from Middle Eastern, Spain, Ireland, anywhere from Europe. Yeah, so in America, the census, when it looks at white, it states anybody from Europe, North Africa, or the Middle East. That's the general, and it's kind of ambiguous and broad as well. Even if you get in some of the white circles, or I mean, not get in the circles, but if you study some of their literature and kind of the language they share, they are definitely kind of you know identitarian, like they study these things a lot, where they do have subdivisions within their own racial group, right? Where kind of the more Nordic Aryans are on top, and then they have like Southern Europeans, so called, at the bottom, because there could possibly be more admixture there. So there is definitely like distinctions amongst themselves. Like you look at, for instance, like how Italians in America were not really considered white until I believe around the 40s. So even there was a lot of discrimination they faced in American history in the early 1900s. Partially, a lot of them because they're Catholic. And this is predominantly was a still predominantly a Christian, Protestant Christian nation. So because of their religious faith, they received a lot of discrimination. But then also because they're kind of, I guess you could say, racial configuration, because a lot of them, they do get darker and tanner, and there's a lot of admixture, as we've stated, in Italy and the kind of Iberian Peninsula. So kind of the quote purebloods, Puritan Anglo-Saxons definitely kind of viewed them as kind of being a lesser caste amongst the white race, but they eventually kind of brought them in to kind of increase numbers. And that's the same situation you see here 100 years later from then with the Italians. Now you see with the Hispanic population, from my general observation, how a lot of them, I have even data here from applications. I'll share some stuff in the future, but it depending on what state you go to in America. So in the Southwest of America, so either California, Nevada, Arizona, or like Texas, for instance, where there's a large Mexican Hispanic population. In the census data, not technical census, but even like job applications or government licenses. So this is the state, I mean, the state licensure. When you apply for a state license, some of these applications, when it says white, they include the Hispanic category in the white family, that box. So they'll have white, black, Native American, and then other. Literally, I talked to Toenail Breaker about this. There's a few states who implement that. So yeah, just like with the Italians 100 years ago, pretty much now a lot of Hispanic people, they are kind of granted into the white family. Yeah, I blocked them. I don't know, just random trolls. I have a couple mods, but they're not in the house tonight. So yeah, we are still at an innovative point of our existence in comparison to other cultures. Yeah, especially when you analyze kind of Chinese culture. They've been around for thousands of years. They have, Confucian, system operating. Their family structure, they're extremely tight knit. So yeah, I wish I could explain it better, but we are still at an early point in a way. Yeah, for sure. We're at the forefront of racial justice already. Yeah, we've been fighting with white people. Yeah, in a lot of ways to serve blacks as well. Interestingly enough. Um, yeah, Brian, yeah, we are still a new people, but we do have a history. Yeah, when you say new, I mean America in the kind of idea is a new country, a new people, because the people from America came from England, right? Those cultures kind of got lost. People from Ireland came to America, like we said, Italian, and even German people. So America is a new creation. Mulatto people have existed before America was even a nation. If that's how you want to look at it, through nationalistic lines or, cultural genetics, you talk about American culture. We've had mulattoes, for centuries on the African continent, in the Middle East, and in Europe. And then, of course, with the transatlantic slave trade being brought, being created in America, or some cases being brought over, whatnot. So mulattoes have existed before America was even a nation. So just think about that in terms of culture. Yeah, I guess you can say all lives kind of matter, right? My mother is Caucasian or European or white. So why would I have anything? Yeah, that's the thing too. Like, I don't, the thing is with these groups, these monoracial groups, they want us to fight their battles and put us against other groups. I'm not doing that. I'm just trying to preserve our identity and congregate with my own group. We have our own culture and way of life that is different from white culture and black culture. It's a mixture of both, indeed. True indeed. There is a video from Frankie and Negron called Me Mulata, and I have noticed that the video quality 1 year ago seriously downgraded, and I'm 100% sure this is deliberate. Yeah, they want to suppress our voice and our image. They don't want us to form a group, but they don't really have a choice. There's a lot of pushback, and even Hybrid Vigor, who's in the chat, shout out to him, is pointing out the whole mulatto phobia, which is on the rise. I get it in society. A lot of anti-mulatto people, they're proudly call us a mutt. But if we, bite back, which I do, I'm pretty assertive and aggressive. I call them a racial slur. Oh, you're a racist, or you're that. They want to put us in a position where we cannot fight back against aggression and hostility. There's going to be growing aggression and hostility towards us because we're a growing demographic, and we outperform a lot of groups because we're very versatile. We can navigate in different societies, different groups very well, better than most people, I might add. That's what makes us kind of special and unique for all intents and purposes. You are at the forefront of racial justice. Meghan Markle is a great example of that. She entered a white institution at the start of a discussion about differences between how she is treated. Yeah. And let me kind of continue on because I do want to share a video. I've been here for an hour, but I appreciate you guys, hopping in here Sunday night. And how other members of the royal family who do the same things she does are treated. Model Vanguard, if you haven't already, you should definitely read and check out a lecture by Professor Tommy Martins, Doctor of American African History. The guy is amazing. Yeah, I'll take note of that for sure. Thank you for sharing. Even Juan de Perea was a mulatto from Spain in 1600s. He was a slave of famous painter. Yeah, Diego Vasquez, you shared that as well. Appreciate that. So I definitely have to kind of double check that as well. Appreciate you guys sharing this information. SJW thing is tired. All we should be worrying about is fighting anti-mulatto and uplifting our people, okay? Yeah, I mean, it depends how you want to look at it. The thing is with the SJW thing is they are used to prevent us from forming a group. And that's what you're going to see if you guys go over to the Mulatto's channel, which the channel is pinned on my page. Check it out. Hybrid Vigor definitely does an excellent job sharing articles and videos kind of combating a lot of the social justice warrior rhetoric that we see that's being promoted in academia. Okay, so there is kind of a point. I think the main focus for me, like you said, is fighting anti-mulatto narratives, uplifting our people for sure. But it's definitely tied into a lot of the SJW stuff because they definitely, from my observation, are not for us creating our own group. They want us to serve Black society and, the homosexual society as well. So we definitely have to challenge some narratives that are detrimental to us. Which kind of Hispanic, the mestizos or white Hispanic? I'm curious since it's not a race. Yeah. The thing is, what's prevalent, I grew up in California. It's prevalent. You hear a term called, or a phrase, a saying, the la raza, which is the race, right? Which is really promoted by Mexican people or Chicano people. So they identify themselves as a race. I mean, I'm not Hispanic. I'm not Mexican. Have no ancestry from there. So my ancestry is African, and then European. The European portion is German and French Canadian. So and then African's West African, obviously. Haven't done an official DNA test, but yeah, pretty sure. And so like you're saying about the whole racial component, that Hispanic is not a race. Well, I mean, theoretically, we see that a lot, people saying that. But like I said, they, academics or whoever online, it's not a race. But talk to these people. You got to put your feet in the ground and walk around, talk to people. They'll say raza. They probably have videos online talking about it. They look at themselves as a racial group. So we can say what we want, but I mean, how they identify, they look at themselves as a race. They don't consider themselves Anglos. They don't consider themselves Blacks as much as Blacks want them to, they look at themselves as being independent. But you say mestizos or white Hispanic. Yeah, well, mestizos means mixed, right? Typically European and which is Spain or Portuguese, and then indigenous from America, and then white Hispanic, which is interesting. I guess you can say more European dominant heritage, but even then people were kind of classified as white Hispanics. They could possibly have like a indigenous, grandfather or grandmother or etc. So things do get complicated there, but that's kind of outside this. I mean, you do have Afro Latino people, but specifically mulatto people who identify with mulatto people is kind of who I cater to more so. Megan is Harry's 13th cousin on her dad's side. Most white Americans are of German ancestry, not English. Yeah. Well, the thing is, English are Germans. Okay. England, which is Anglo land, and Germany is Deutschland, the Deutsch people, right? Because they migrated to England, right? According to records and documents, if you study that stuff. So, yeah, but I agree with your assertion. I believe it's around 30% of white Americans have kind of a German heritage. So I definitely kind of fall into that as far as my racial configuration. Yeah. No one ever brings that up, right? Like the Mixish, Louisiana Creoles, the Haitian Creoles, even Dominican Republic are a part of the mixed race cultures and languages. Definitely. Dominican Republic can be identified as kind of a mulatto country, mulatto state. For sure. True indeed. I've never been there yet. I definitely want to, but I don't know. A lot of the passport bros, not the passport bros, because there are civilized, decent people within that community, but you would have what we'd call the passport pookies. So, someone from the hood with their passport who wants to go to the Dominican Republic and trick off. Because it's one thing, I don't want to talk too much about it, because I have a passport. But the thing is about embracing different cultures, I'll just leave it at that. Kitty, that's amazing. Or excuse me, that's crazy. And still the British populace does not care. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, appreciate you. Buenas noches. I appreciate you in the chat. I appreciate your channel. You're doing a great job with your channel. Definitely highlighting the history of Hispaniola and Latin America. So I definitely really appreciate your presentation as well. Maybe hopefully one day I can kind of get up to par with your style, because I do really appreciate how you present information. And it's really great stuff. So yeah, thank you for showing up. Peace. Yeah, appreciate you guys showing up. A lot of comments, but the English are still Europeans. They just called Anglo-Saxons, which means Old English. The Anglo-Saxons is a collection of tribal groups from Germany, from Germanic tribes, right? I think there's 3 core tribes, Anglo-Saxons, and there's another tribe, but there's like 3 core tribes of that as well, right? Sensei, Megan's dad is from German, yeah, Georgior. A lot of us are. Now, when you say us, you're speaking about the mulatto group specifically. A lot of mulattoes have been enculturated to be social justice warriors, unfortunately, but you do have some who aren't. Look at Joy Villa, American conservative. Look at the Hodge twins, American conservative. Look at Amelia, she's like part Nigerian. She's a mulatto. I think Katie knows her, who I'm talking about. Amelia, she's conservative. So, like you said, a lot of us. Us is the key thing. I mean, that's not me. I'm not a social justice warrior. But yeah, a lot of people you're going to find in whatever space you go to, for sure. At least more than other groups. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, like you said, unfortunately. Yeah, that's the thing. Compared to other groups, they get suckered into kind of serving as mules, I guess you can say. I don't know, man. It's kind of crazy. Hispanic is more or so a linguistic category. Definitely. They're tied into the Spanish language. But then again, definitions can change since race is partially socially constructed. They can say they are a race. Yeah. And how they identify. They identify as a racial group, and that's their right to do so. Mestizos is median and white. Yeah. Mestizo, Spaniard, indigenous. Please do not give the maniac globalist your DNA. I was thinking about that the other day, about the whole DNA test. It's funny, I've never taken a test. I was thinking about that the other day because, like you said, yeah, when you give your DNA, you do a 23andMe or one of these ancestry things, you're voluntarily giving your genes to the globalists, as you say. Now, the people who have the most research and, advanced technology based on this kind of gene sequencing technology is the Church of Latter-day Saints, so the Mormons. And they actually have a building, they have a whole infrastructure in Salt Lake City. I think it's called the I didn't tour the building, it was closed. I think it was on a Sunday I was there. I rode my bike outside. It's a genealogy kind of facility there. I know from what I've seen, the Mormons are the ones, the Latter-day Saints definitely have most of that technology, uh, and definitely have a lot of access to that. So you're definitely giving it to them if you decide to go through that procedure and get those tests done. Um, bioweapon right now. Damn, I got a video I want to share, but a lot of comments. Appreciate you guys jumping in. People from Spain are technically Hispanic. Yeah, that's always been kind of my observation. Uh, if you're from, Spain, you know, you're definitely fall into the Hispanic category for sure. I guess Hispanic is euphemism for mixed race. Yeah, it could be, or Latino, right? I think Hispanic, because there's the kind of a demarcation line, I guess you could say. The words are kind of interchangeable, but definitely when you think about like Hispanic, it's kind of more connected to their European roots, their white roots. And then you think of Latino, it's more connected to their indigenous roots or their kind of quote black roots, so to speak. But the interesting thing about that is if they really are black, if they're Latino, they put the word Afro in front of it, right? They make a distinction. Latino is more connected to the indigenous aspect, where Hispanic is connected more to the European aspect, depending on their kind of phenotype, so to speak, right? In configuration. But those words kind of are interchangeable, I find. But I definitely noticed, I would say the lighter skin, like Hispanic people, would be more Hispanic identified versus the kind of darker skin could fall more in line with the what you call the Latino. But yeah, Hispanic simply means Spanish speaking. Yeah. And then you have here where it says Dominican Republic is the world's only true mulatto nation. Yeah. I'm done for. Let me just put that up. I DNA test with them and I tell something I already know. Yeah, you already know your family has kind of preserved your legacy, so to speak. They've shared stories with you, photographs, pictures. So you kind of already have information. You can do the research yourself and draw conclusions based on that. You don't need to pay a lab to do all this, specific tests if you want. But as Katie was talking about, you're giving it to the globalists. That's kind of been my idea of it as well. Like you're giving it to a third party. And if you read the fine print, they'll definitely put in there that, you're voluntarily giving us this information. You think they're just going to delete it? You give them all the details about your genes, you think they're just going to erase it, or are they going to put it in a database? You tell me. I mean, you can easily pass me or Brazilian. I've been told I look Puerto Rican or something. In Mexico, average mestizo range from 2 to 6%. Sub-Saharan Africa. Yeah, I think we talked about that as well. Very minimal African blood, but Black people will try to claim the whole world, right? But their own children. And so they'll definitely try to claim people like Fat Joe and other Hispanic people. Mulatto Sensei, that's true. My husband is Mexican. He's about 5% African. A lot of that being North African. Yeah. Like we've asserted because of the Spain was conquered or colonized by North Africa. And there's definitely been intermixing over the years. That's kind of where the word mulatto kind of emerged as being kind of into the general lexicon. A lot of English or also have Viking ancestry, depending on where in England, like York, for example, as you will see, many with Swedish and Norwegian ancestry. Yeah, true indeed. Blue, you made a channel again. Stop deleting them. Yeah, why did I even read that? His 5% African is North African, not Sub-Saharan African. Two different. Yeah. Interesting assertion, Mulatto Sensei, right? North African, which could be Arabic, right? Or because we said as far as the census data, when it says white, it says Caucasian peoples from Europe, North Africa, or Middle East. It doesn't say Europe, Sub-Saharan Africa, or Middle East. It says North Africa. So that's an interesting, assertion you made there. Good point. North African doesn't technically mean black, so to speak. Wasn't the coveted position of the Holy Roman Empire Austrian quietly eliminated by the French and English? I'm not entirely sure. So that would be something I definitely have to look at. Why you press it? People want to call themselves mulatto. Who's that? Oh, well, the people who are pressed about it's not white people or even Hispanic or anybody else. It's black people. The only people who are going to have an issue with you calling yourself a mulatto is monoracial black people because they don't want you to identify independently from them. They only want you to identify with them, right? So they can absorb you, they can claim your excellence, and unfortunately, generally speaking, use you. You know, they want you to fight their battles for them. Like, remember Dr. Umar? Dr. Umar made a video, said, I'll claim you as an African. You could be an African, but you gotta, tell off your white mother about racism. You gotta fight racism. See, that's how these pro-wax look at it. Like, well, I'll claim you as being black, but you essentially gotta be a mule for them. Like Dr. Umar, the Prince of Panda Express. You gotta fight all the racist white people. You gotta take all the bullets while they're gonna sit on their butt playing Xbox, smoking blunts. They want you to be in the front one on the marching line, being the front ones doing all the heavy lifting. In academia, in the streets, everywhere. You got to prove your blackness. I'm not proving nothing to any of these characters. And I met Umar, so I've kind of, I wouldn't say been in the circles, definitely online, attended events. And it's like, yeah, I'm not proving nothing to none of you guys. We are indentured to be social justice warriors to make up for white privilege. That's only if you allow them to. You have to absolve yourself from the racial dichotomy of being the victimhood status of the black and then the kind of status quo of the white. That's only if you allow them to. When you say white privilege, it's not white people pushing that unless they're obviously left-leaning, social justice warrior identified. It's black people primarily who are going to tell you, like you said, you're indentured to be social justice warriors to make up for the white privilege. Yeah, I don't fall for none of that crap. They'll try to push that on you, the pro-wax, and even in academia. I've experienced that. That's why I'm here talking to you guys. I'm not falling for none of that crap. We got to preserve our history, our identity, and who we are. It's a beautiful thing to see us doing that now. The numbers are only going to rise. There's only going to be more of us now. This is kind of a new, I guess you can say, occurrence. There's going to be more of us, and that's kind of what I'm privileged to do. There's going to be more of us. It's a beautiful thing. Got to stop hiding, guys. Okay, got to stop hiding. Share the information, share with each other, coordinate, compare notes. We're already here. Like I said with Kurt Cobain, here we are now, so entertain us, right? Mulatto Sensei, that's true. There's a difference. So yeah, since I just said that, here we are now, entertain us. Let me share this clip because I've been talking. I'm going to get back to your guys' comments. I appreciate you guys being here with me. I was going to talk about divestors today and some pro-wax stuff, but I'll do that another day. I kind of wanted to get this out. I think this is pretty relevant for the discussion. Like I just stated, here we are now, entertain us. So let me just a second. Here we go, right here. Right.
But what?
No, I don't think the audio is up to par. Let me see. Yeah.
We're looking at today a portrait of a biracial kid with an unusual name, come from a certain group or class or faith in order to matter. But what we're looking at today, a portrait of a biracial kid with an unusual name, and the make a lot of money or come from a certain group or class or faith in order to matter. But what we're looking at today, a portrait of a biracial kid with an unusual name.
Did you guys hear that? Did you guys hear that? Let me know if you heard that audio.
And the daughter of a water pump operator. What we're looking at today, a portrait of a biracial kid with an unusual name.
She's talking about her husband. You can hear it. This is the former first lady. I've always heard people say Barack Obama, the first black president of the United States. His wife, this was a month ago. this was a major indicator of where we are today. Like I said, with Kurt Cobain, here we are now, entertain us, a mulatto. She literally on the world stage is publicly saying of a biracial kid with a funny sounding name, talking about her husband. So you guys can hear.
It. And too often in this country, people feel like they have to look a certain way or act a certain way to fit in, that they have to make a lot of money or come from a certain group or class or faith in order to matter. Uh, but what we're looking at today, a portrait of a biracial kid with an unusual name and the daughter of a water pump operator and a stay-at-home mom. What we are seeing is a reminder that there's a place for everyone in this country. Because as Barack said, the two of us can end or
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure you guys can heard that. I kind of wanted to share that with you guys because yeah, that's a major that's a big thing. I don't know, for me, that when I was brought to my attention, I was like, oh shit, yeah, we're here. We're already here. And so like you said with Nirvana, Smells Like Teen Spirit. Yeah, that whole album, was it called Nevermind? So Come As You Are, In Bloom. I think it's my favorite track. But yeah, Smells Like Teen Spirit. I could play that on a guitar. I'll show you guys for proof one day. But yeah, Mulatto, we're here. So, we're here now, guys. And like I just shared with Michelle Obama, basically stating that as well, that we are essentially here with reference to her husband. Because that's the first time I kind of publicly, on that level, heard him being referred to as a biracial man. Everyone swears up and down he's black, but it's like, well, what about his white mom? Nobody wants to mention that. Your cousins have done the DNA test, so part of your DNA is already in those sites. I did 4 different DNA tests, and MyHeritage is the most accurate DNA testing site for regions. I have lots of, yeah. It's me. Latino means you are a Latin speaker from the Americas, Spanish, French, Portuguese. Oh my God, but they are own children. That's you playing. That's you playing on these accounts, no? Is it some troll guy or whatever? I don't know. Yeah. Which is why Brazilians are considered Latino despite speaking Portuguese. Yeah, and being Lusophonic. Yeah. Uh, Black men were brought over as slaves in Mexico. When many of them became free, they intermarried with local mestizos. It's why they have a 2 African DNA. Yeah, for sure. North Africans, Berber. Yeah, definitely. Sephardic Jews were also in North Africa. The Sephardi were a majority mulatto. Relatives, which I know a DNA is already there, and I could care less as their DNA is used for making medicine and finding cures. There is no globalist trap there. You can erase your results. Interesting. Yeah, I think it could be kind of a general kind of what you can say. I don't know, fear or anxiety, I guess you can say, because there's a lot of people who could push that. But it all depends how you see things. Mulatto Sensei, imagine trying to build your identity off of these inaccurate as hell DNA tests. Yeah, only time I get pushback on my biracialness is from of course, it's because they only want. But see, the thing is, like you said with Cynthia G and even the pro wax, you can only be called a half breed, so many times before you're like, forget this, let me go do my own thing, create my own space. There's enough of us here where we can do that. I feel like the generations before us, before the Racial Integrity Act in 1924, they didn't really have a choice in a lot of ways. Like a guy like Smokey Robinson, from the Motown era, is a mulatto. He was kind of forced into the black, spaces because they didn't have, mulattoes. A lot of them were absorbed into blackness, right? But we're in a different time today, 2022. So we don't have to put up with any BS from any pro whack or divester like this. There's a lady here, I think her name is Flowers or Flower Tower. I see a lot of people because she trolls biracial people. I mean, a lot of those people, they're so insecure about who they are, they wish they were biracial, and that's why they throw a lot of their venom at us. That's like, I've never been jealous of any of you monoracial black people. I don't care. I know a lot of you want to be me. I don't want to be any of you. I'm not jealous. So it's like, all the negativity, and we're here combating negativity. That's what I'm doing. No Blue was in here trolling, saying, yeah. That's why I said, yeah, I saw that guy. I don't know, man. You have a lot of interesting characters. Yep, I have a very viable theory about what those psychos are doing with the DNA and they are looking for. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of people who feel that as well, depending on who you talk to, right? We need to start fighting for our community. Yeah, preserve our identity, protect our culture, protect our people. Because when people attack us, it's often people kind of look at it as a black on black crime when it's not true. It's a black person committing a hate crime against a mulatto person. We have to start calling it out. We have to start documenting it and essentially create a database. We need to protect ourselves because mulatto phobia is on the rise. And, for a long time, we've allowed a lot of them to just punk us because they know their place. They know better than to go out and attack a white person or attack an Asian person because there's going to be, consequences with that. But they look at a lot of us as we're their mules. So they can just slander us, run their mouth, talk all this crap, and in a lot of extreme cases, attack us. But those days are over. Those days are changing. A lot of us are starting to realize that, it's time to kind of fight back and let people know that kind of mulatto phobia, that behavior is unacceptable. It won't be tolerated. Do you have a channel? I would love to hear your theory. Yeah. Exactly. If you're enemy of the state, they can easily wipe out your entire bloodline. Yeah, it's real serious stuff for sure. We're doing that and I'm proud of us. Just curious, the name in your title is Ass. Why is that? If you can share in the chat. It's Sarah Ass. Why the ass, right? What's that about? Just curious. Kid, I did DNA test, and at this point, I don't care. Anytime I talk about anything, Google is listening. Well, all your search results are all collected in a database, okay? So anything you've searched or typed in, all your emails, your conversations, all that, it's all collected. So that's where we're at, guys. Scientific research shows most North Africans are closely related and very similar to Arabs, basically the same, except a few of Northwest European within the last 500 years. Yeah. What I love is the conversation we're having here. If you look at the drama queens over in the golden sewer and the low IQ individuals, the type of crap they push, over here, we're having an intellectual discussion. We're sharing information. We're reviewing academic journals and videos. This is what I love about this. This is what it's meant to be. A real life community, a think tank, expressing ideas, having a serious conversation. No trolls here. Trolls get blocked. They get removed. And no drama either. So I really like that. I appreciate that, guys. RCS, I talk about that all the time. Freaks me out. Magic. Sometimes I start typing stuff into Google, waiting for my search suggestions to autofill. And when it doesn't, I'm like, damn, Google, you're not listening to me. Yeah. Yeah, they got all your search results collected in a database. Yeah, they are for sure. And you said at least she acknowledged him as what he is, biracial. I like that. Exactly. And that is very profound. And it's also because of where we are today. They're watching us, they see this content. They're watching. People know, yeah, we're here. Nobody's going to help us out. We have to do the work ourselves. Nobody wants us to form a group. They don't want us to be a competitive group, No, and not even just competitive. They just don't want us to thrive on our own because we represent, the unity between different racial groups coming together, forming a family, forming an offspring. In a lot of ways, like I've stated earlier, we represent that. And they don't like that. They don't like that image. And so a lot of people, yeah, they, we're here now. We're here now, like with the Kurt Cobain song. So there's just no way around it. And we have to embrace it. That's the key thing. That's what I hope to do with the channel is, using education, sharing our stories. We have to assert ourselves and accept our kind of uniqueness, right? He was biracial, mixed race until he looked like a viable candidate to win. Then he was black. Same thing with Kamala Harris. I some people will say it's like Obama 2.0. Yeah, people like Cory Booker out of New Jersey could possibly fall in line with that. That's kind of been a reoccurring theme though throughout history, like with Thurgood Marshall, and like the article I read talked about Colin Powell, right? You know, but like I said, when you look at the majority of the kind of the black population in America, they'll claim all of them as a black win when it benefits them. If you're just out working your job or just trying to live your life, all of a sudden, oh, you ain't from the hood, you only got one black parent, you ain't black, you ain't from the hood. So then it's like, well, I don't claim you, I don't trust you. That's what the pro-wax will say. I don't trust you. Okay, well, that's fine, and right. And our identity is not respected or understood at all. We have to change that. Yeah, part of that's with education, right? First and foremost, educating ourselves, like I am, like all of you here are. We're sharing information. Then we go on and we can educate the public as well. Well, I mean, inadvertently, we're educating the public because others, outsiders, interlopers, they're listening anyways. So we're educating everyone at the same time. But definitely, the education's key. I'm an educator. So I teach English to people around the world. And with that, with teaching English linguistically, right, there's history as well in that. So I can share history, my perspective. So I do fall in line as an educator. Yeah. So and our job is to educate people. Well, my job. This isn't a drama channel, like some of the other, like your good friends, the leftovers, the Pookie and Ray Ray's leftovers, your good buddies, right? I think that's, yeah. You should play that video Michelle Obama stating that on all your shorts and videos as a reminder. Yeah, I got to make into a short. I'm new to the whole YouTube thing, I've had a YouTube channel for like 10 years. But I've only been uploading content, making videos or live streaming for like 3 months or so, 4 months. So I'm new, but I when I do the shorts, all the shorts I have are of me running, so it's like, I got to make some shorts. So appreciate that. Yeah, they're different, right? I think I kind of explained it, the difference between that for sure. Just my opinion, how Hispanic is more tied into European kind of culture and Latino is more tied into the kind of indigenous culture from my understanding. But if there's any Latinos or Hispanics listening, they could share, please. That'd be great. Yeah, I don't watch her content, but I know there's a lot of people who do, like share her videos or they seen her because she really goes out of her way to talk a lot of mess. And you just look at her and it's so obvious. She wishes she was a mulatto woman. And a lot of them do, it's so obvious. Yeah. She calls us. Yeah. And that's a racial slur. But if someone were to refer to her as an animal or other words, then she'd cry racism, right? That's the kind of the hypocrisy of the pro-wax, right? Is that they feel like it's their right, it's okay for them because they're oppressed, they're victims, so they can insult and slander other people, but nobody can do it to them. Then all of a sudden it's like, yeah. My mother always told me that I will always get haters because a white woman and a black man come together to make me. Exactly. Even Miranda, I believe, in the UK, she has a similar genetic configuration. I believe she has a white mom. So yeah, and we're the majority as well, as far as mulatto people. So even like there was a troll in here that came in here. I believe he has a black mom. So they know they're outsiders. They're in the minority. So they're gonna kind of crack jokes and troll because the majority of us have white moms and black dads. And we're typically the most successful ones as well. I feel like the most balanced ones. Well, I don't want to say that because Magic has a black mom, white father. So I don't want to say that. I don't want to play into that. But the thing is, if someone's going to attack me, like you said here, for having a white mom, we got to combat that, right? Because there's a lot of that being pushed. But yeah. If you disagree with pro-wax, they will talk about how you have too much colonizer. Exactly. DNA. It's like how when I disagreed with neo-Nazis, I was with the shit skin. Yeah, that's the phrasing is kind of extreme because you're extremely light skinned, you're very light skinned. So that's why I don't know how that would apply to you. But yeah. If you disagree with them, they will say that's the white jumping out of you. That's a colonizer. That's why I don't associate with any of the foolishness. I'm good. I did that for a few years in my 20s when I still have a lot of energy, but I'm using my energy for mulatto people now. instead of just being a mule trying to prove myself that I'm down for the community. No, no, no. You guys had your chance, but you blew it, so she's obsessed with white people and proud of that. Yeah, you're talking about the flower tower. You just look at her, it's so obvious. It's like, come on, nobody wishes they were you, flower tower, get real. Latino is from Iberian ancestry, just like Hispanic. However, the difference, Latino is Spanish speaking, but both are still Latinos, except Portuguese, yeah. Magic Flower Tower knows white people better than white people. The same thing with a lot of the divestors and pro-wax. They know mulattoes better than mulattoes. I mean, apparently that's what they claim, but obviously they don't. They're full of it. They're full of crap. And they want to use us. They claim our excellence. But yeah, they claim they know everyone. It's like, dude. And the funny thing is, with a lot of the people, a lot of pro-waxes, they'll say, well, the white people, they don't like you. They look at you like you're just another N-word. Like, they act like they know our experience. Like, that's not true. That's not the case for all white people. They all look at us. They clearly know that there's a difference. And I've explained that. I've been called like a mulatto and identified as that by several different white people, several different states in America traveling. So it's just not true that they all look at us like we're all the same. They know there's admixture and we're different, or we have a white parent. People know. They know now more than ever because our numbers are growing. So don't let the pro-wax try to fool you as if they know us and our experiences better than us. I mean, come on, get real. Duke Ellington, yeah, a lot of excellence there. Duke Ellington for sure. Jazz. I hope she jumps on one of these videos. Yeah, it'll help exposure, I guess you're saying, right? It'll definitely help with exposure of my channel, which is great. But I don't really want the drama. If you're a troll or some idiot, I'll just block you. But this is just trying to educate the public. I swear they weaponize our white blood against us, but we don't really care. Well, they want you to serve as a mule. And that all-inclusiveness, that's what you're going to do. With that all-inclusiveness, we're all just mixed, all that stuff. You're going to be right back in line serving them. Just, as a disclaimer. It's a good convo. I love y'all. Yeah. I've been going for a minute here. It's already getting late. The reason why I named my profile name that is because it's Sarah Self, or Sarah, that girl, basically just in a cussing word. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's like a artist or something. Yeah, I appreciate that. Thanks for showing up. I appreciate it. Sharing your experiences and your knowledge. Mulatto is more exact than biracial. Yeah, that's why I prefer mulatto. I know you do as well. So I appreciate you. And yeah, biracial, it's too broad and ambiguous. It can mean anything, really. It can mean or some people will say black, white, biracial, which I do as well, because I know it sounds, people aren't as offended when I say mulatto. People, the history of it, people don't really aren't too favorable for it, but they will be over time. There's just going to be more exposure. Like I said, people are familiar with it around the planet. So more people can kind of come together and explore this, and information and research. We can come to conclusion if there's something else we can add or kind of change as far as the name designation component. But who we are as a people still maintains the same. I like your name, Sarah. Yeah, Sarah Ass is her title right here. Sarah Ass. What is your mixture of RC? Yeah. Is black and white. Yeah, Lithuanian. Dusty, crusty black man who can't get a woman, but obviously I'm not talking about all black men. Just a crazy, obviously there's good black men like my father and others. Yeah. Yeah, so Cynthia G's not going to be too favorable towards you. Even though she has kids by a black man, because, she's an idiot. And I'm saying she's an idiot because she complains about black men, but she has kids by black men. She's an idiot. Cynthia G. And then, like I said, the mulatto people she doesn't like are the ones that have black fathers and white moms, because it's almost like his jealousy and envy. Like when she sees us, she's looking at a black man who, who chose a white woman over her. So it's this weird jealousy. And she has a lot of followers, a lot of divestors. They push that stuff. So I'm going to talk about it pretty soon. I just got to get the technicalities in order. I'm going to change my name to mudblood mulatto in honor of English grandma. Yeah, well, the mudblood is like a slur, right? That's kind of like neo-Nazi kind of terminology, right? The mudblood. Yeah, same Kamala. Education is key. Yeah, mudblood is like meaning you're like lower, you're tainted or whatnot. But what I find with a lot of us is we're actually pretty we're pretty established. If we put our minds to it and we work hard, we excel. Academically, artistically, physically. We got Olympic champions. I already talked about Gable Stevenson. When people make these assertions that we're weakening the races, I'm like, how is that possible when we're world champions? Boxing, you had Connor Ben and England, Mulatto fought. I said Gable Stevenson, Olympic gold medalist. We have the artists. The top highest paid musicians and artists today are all mulattoes, and they've been for 100 years. As far as American music, you talk about jazz, Duke Ellington. We talked about R&B with Smokey Robinson. Currently modern times, you got Drake, Sade. So that's the artistic realm. And academically, there's some names. We got Neil deGrasse Tyson, one of your leading astrophysicists. It's a Puerto Rican mother. He could definitely fall into the mulatto category for all intents and purposes. Miranda has a white mother. Yeah, she shared that before. Yeah, and how in her situation in England, how she could kind of face some discrimination based on that because they typically have, and where the majority of us are ones with white moms, black dads. There's a lot of people, they just don't like us in general, is what I'm trying to tell mulatto people. So based on, your parental situation, if your dad is white or dad is black or etc., I don't think us as mulatto people should be so fixated on that, to kind of separate ourselves when I'm telling you, the monoracial population outside, particularly the black ones, they're already trying to do that to us. They're trying to separate us and divide us like that. We don't need to fall into that crap. Divestors are really pushing that. So that's kind of why I brought that up. I'm a biracial Keisha, as they say. What about a biracial Becky? I don't know. Where are they at? The biracial Becky, biracial Keisha, Miranda. And you say, yeah, shout out to you. Hybrid. I like the biracial Beckys. What's up with them? That's funny. Yeah, I've heard that before. Sarah, my grandma's from England. Yeah. And Sarah, so you're from England. Okay, for sure. Shout out to you across the pond. I'm going to go for a little bit longer, guys, and I'm going to dial down. Sometimes drama brings attention to important issues. Yeah, for sure. But if you make that the whole basis, your whole brand name is all just ghetto drama garbage, I mean, I'm not trying to really associate with that. That's like low IQ, low frequency, just nah. But yeah, I guess for some people they just want clicks and views, but they're still broke. It's like, are you getting money off of it? Some people can make money off of it. I mean, a lot of people, I should say, can. But I'm traditionally an academic, attended university, I have a bachelor's degree. I'm still educating the public, even professionally, but I'm not making money doing this YouTube yet. But I consider myself an academic, so I kind of like to fall in line with that. There's kind of ethical principles you abide by, and the certain standards you kind of want to uphold. So we are going to be responding some Flower Tower this week on Mulatto channels. Come participate. Excellent plug. Check out the Mulatto's channel. You go to my YouTube page, my homepage, click the channel section. You'll see the channel there. It's a yin yang symbol, black and yellow, or black and gold, I guess. Click that. Check out the videos. They have a weekly broadcast, so definitely check it out. Mulatto specific topics. Had to change my name to biracial Becky. It has a ring. I like it, to be honest with you. I definitely like it. So yeah, biracial Becky, true indeed. Me and Mulatto Vanguard have a live tomorrow, my Hybrid Vigor channel tomorrow at 4:30-ish. Indeed. Check out Hybrid Vigor. Check out his channel. Keep saying it until it becomes normalized. Cynthia G doesn't like biracial women in general, but she'll like the men. Yeah. I mean, I can't stand her voice. I don't know, man. I listen to the playback. I listen to my videos. I actually like my voice. And there's a difference between, appreciating my voice, my tonality versus like, I love to hear myself talk. I think I'm a pretty good communicator. I let people talk, they have their turns, I have my turn, I just want to get my point across. I don't think I'm obnoxious. I just want to share. This is, academic based. I want to share the information with you guys. Go back, listen to the playback, share the information. You learned something tonight, share it. There's a lot of other mulatto people who they might not be using YouTube, or just other people in general. They're not listening to these videos as content. Share the information with them so they're made aware. That's what this is for. But what I said, yeah, about Cynthia G, I don't like her voice. I don't like her voice. She has a gross voice, and it's not only her voice that sucks. Cynthia G, the rhetoric, the crap she talks about is just so bad and negative. It's all anger and jealousy. And she doesn't like black men. And it's just, I can't, I don't know, man. Like, I don't like her. I don't like anything she represents. Just not a good person. Not a good person. Yeah, mudblood is an English slur. Yeah, like in the movie Harry Potter, when Draco Malfoy called Hermione, called her a filthy mudblood. They kind of threw that in there because she was like not a wiggle, or I think they call it a muggle or something. The witches. There's like the witches or the wizards and the people who aren't, who are just like normal people, so to speak. They call them like the mudblood, but it's a slur. But I know neo-Nazis and white supremacists, they reference that the mudblood is the mud people, is like the lesser races. So yeah, wouldn't really associate anything with that terminology. But then some people would bring that up as far as the term mulatto. They would say, well, that goes back to racism and colonialism and the donkeys and the mules. Well, not entirely, depending on your sources you look at, but that's something we can all discuss and kind of share more information on. Let's get YouTube to resonate the term mulatto so it's no longer shadow ban. Yeah, you typically, because you have to spell it a certain way as well. What I'll do is with the first A, I'll put an @ sign, because they will shadow ban it. They'll delete your comments. Because even if, let me see if you can put it even in Google, kind of has let me share this with you guys as well. So the tech wizards, let me show this here. Not the tech wizards, I guess say the technological oligarchs over at Google. Let's see what source. Google dictionary, so it's Oxford is the source. And when you put mulatto in, it has the wrapper here. Shout out to her for kind of the exposure and publicity of the word. Look at what it says here. Offensive. Do you guys see that? Offensive. Let me actually apologize, guys. I have the comment up. And what I'm going to do is highlight or let me zoom in a little bit. So when you do like a Google search, mulatto, the rapper shows up, right? Big Lotto. Shout out to her. I still call her Miss Mulatto because I like the name. And she's definitely added a lot of exposure to it. But like I said, so you look at the Oxford dictionary source, it says offensive. I'm not offended by it. That's why the name of my title is Mulatto Vanguard. I'm not offended. Many people are. So my job is to educate people and understand the history and the information. Mulatto is racial classification to refer to people of mixed African and European ancestry. Its use is considered outdated and offensive. But to who? To black people. They don't want us to form our own group. They still want us as mules. Because there's white people who use the term, and there's other people, other ethnic groups who use the term as well. But this is Oxford. This is their, right here, offensive. But it's like, well, to who? You say many people are offended by it. Its use is considered outdated and offensive. Not to me. Not to me. And I'm sharing this information with you guys. I'm not offended by it. And I'm a mulatto man, white mother, black father. So we got to really check these sources and information, guys, because they're trying to label us and they want to deny us our God-given right to identify as being a mulatto. And that's like you just stated here, they want to shadow ban it. So you have all these sources, YouTube, Google, all the tech giants, they're watching, they're hearing, they don't want us to be a group. Cynthia G don't want that smoke. She's desperate. And white men who don't want her talk. Yeah, and white men don't want her. Listen to how she talks. I mean, she's not going to get a quality white man. They say like a bottom shelf Brad or something like that, right? So only like a lower tier white man she could probably get, and that's because she'll do things to him that a white woman probably wouldn't. So what they call that is like slave play. So as far as like, yeah. I know mudblood is from Harry Potter, but I had no idea Nazis use it. Yeah, well, they say like mud people. Yeah, for sure. That's very common knowledge. Like when you think of like the Greeks and the 300, the Spartans, how the Spartans are typically referenced a lot, like within like white nationalism, and they had these battles with the Persians. So the Persians kind of represented the mud people, so to speak, and then the Greeks were like the pure white Aryans who were fighting for, democracy and civilization, right? So those battles are taught through history to kind of represent that. And what was I going to add on that? Yeah, so the movie 300, you noticed how it's supposed to be Persians, which in modern times, Persia, it's called Iran, which means the land of the Aryan, Iran, which is one of the only Middle Eastern countries that actually had contracts signed with the Third Reich, the Nazi party, which is interesting. But in the movie 300, a lot of these so-called Persians, they were like African presenting. I noticed it in the movie. Like the messenger, when he said, "This is Sparta," he kicked him into the pit. He looked like a black man, right? He was a black man, but Persian. I mean, interesting. A lot of the characters I saw in that film, they had a lot of like, so the imagery is important, especially in motion picture, because they're eliciting feelings and how you view things. And they're very crafty in how they do that. So there's kind of some history and information there. But in all honesty, we have that hybrid vigor. Yeah. Biracial Becky, CB exactly. Oh, you just changed your name too. I just noticed that. Cool. Biracial Becky. Yeah, shout out to you. That's cool. Yeah, you're gonna piss off a lot of the a lot of the jealous people are gonna be pissed off, right? Yeah, I can't stand her voice. Even though her information is despicable and it's all hate speech, right? There's a petition out to get rid of her channel too. It's hate speech, but her voice is so insufferable. I'm not saying I have the best voice. I think the best voice is Sade. Shout out to the, Mulatto queen, from England, so to speak. She's one of my probably my favorite artists. I think she has the best voice on the planet. But I know my voice is better than synthetic weave. Yeah, and it's also her tone and just complaining about black men. It's like, oh my god, man. Historically, it has always been white chromosome dominant. Magic, her voice is very nasally and shrill. She's 100% cringe. I like your channel, Envy. I truly like how you let your guests speak and how your goal is to be educational, but sadly people love drama. Yeah. And the people who love drama, you'll find out that they're baby mamas, they're single baby mamas. They don't really have anything going on in their real life outside of YouTube. So this is like fun to them. It's drama, it's fun, and they just want to like talk crap about people. But yeah. So we're almost at the 2-hour mark. So I appreciate you guys jumping in here and kind of can chill and hang out. Yeah, Miss Mulata was bullied. I think it was a marketing thing. Yeah, because her majority fan base is like ghetto blacks, really. And like I said, they want her to identify only as being black. And so, and they did. So they pressured her, but she kind of fell for the pressure, to be honest with you. Because like I said, who's offended by the word mulatto? Like I showed you in Oxford Dictionary on a Google search, it's labeled as offensive, but I'm not offended by it. I'm a mulatto, man. So like you said, the black people in America specifically are offended by it. Not in Africa. You go to those nations, they'll let you know, and they celebrate you. Blackness, I felt like when I was in Ghana, like there's a lot of people who claim you, but there's a lot of people, obviously you're an outsider, you're a foreigner, but they'll share their culture with you. Like my name in Ghana is Kofi. So you can have a name. They have ceremonies they have too. You can change your name. But generally, depending on the day you were born, I was born on a Friday. So my, Ghanaian name would be Kofi. And I have Ghanaian friends who will still call me Kofi, generally. So they share their culture with you compared to the ghetto black American culture where they want to gatekeep their hood culture. You ain't from the hood. You only got one black parent. You ain't black, and like we find that in the pro-wax circles. Because the pro-wax, like you don't have to prove yourself with like in today's society, in today's world, you just have to have an internet connection, a cell phone, and buy a cheap made in China dashiki, and not all of a sudden you're a pro-whack. It used to be you kind of had to show your work, Either you were an academic, you did community work, you help people. It's not the case today. All you have to do is have two black parents, and you could be a criminal, a scumbag, and you can be from the hood, you down with the hood, but you a god, you a king, and a queen. And things are different today, man. And I try to talk to some of these older cats. It's like, things are different today. Uh, yeah, a Negro in his introduction calls himself. Yeah, I don't even want to talk about that guy. They put that on purpose. Only in Commonwealth nations. Yeah, the criminal grifter had a whole smear campaign, made up lies about me. Nothing verifiable, verifiable. Yeah, and that can get you sued. It will get you sued for defamation. So he's obviously not a smart guy. But he'll find out. The problem with her is that she is not the best representation of a lot of women. Indeed, true indeed. So as far as Sade, I consider her to be very elegant. I think she's a great representation. There's other people. As far as high profile, I think Alicia Keys is good, but people can say what they want politically, but I think she kind of is well-rounded and balanced. She married a mulatto man, so I mean, cheers, salute to her. But yeah, Miss Mulatto is not a good representation at all. She's kind of like Michi X. She has to act all hood, act all hard, act all extra ghetto, to kind of have this perception that she's, quote, black when she's a mulatto. So yeah, it's a damn shame when there are so many rappers called Asian Doll, Black China, who are not one bit Asian. Yeah, it's very common. Yeah, because you'll find a lot of monoracial black people. They don't want to be black. They want to be everything but black. They'll call themselves Hebrew Israelites. They'll call themselves indigenous, aboriginal. They'll call themselves Moors. They'll like you said, they'll have these Asian titles, but yeah, they want to be everything but black. But then they want to tell us that we have identity issues. Yeah, very interesting. It's black people and or queer mulatto people who find it. Indeed. Yeah, indeed. I agree. Where's the petition against Cynthia G? You could probably find it. I think I did sign it before. Maybe I did. I don't know. But it's out there somewhere. I don't know. I don't watch any of her content. I just wanted to share a couple things from her because some of the kind of mulatto phobia things she says about us. I wanted to provide my voice on it and, observation on it, because a lot of times a lot of mulatto people are kind of silent. They don't fight back against the slander and rhetoric. But like I said, it's changing now. We come across this information. If you guys have any material, you see my email address, email me something, send me an email of some video clips or material. I'll review it and then I can cover it. I'll be happy to do that. I recently went to church actually about 2 weeks ago. These ladies, dark-skinned black women, came up to me and thought I was a white woman and told me I was, oh my God. Yeah. But let's be real, petitions don't accomplish anything really. It can kind of get the ball rolling, so to speak. And it kind of provides a lot of exposure. It gives the illusion kind of that there's real like massive advocacy going on. I think the best bet would be to educate people and speak up to people and connect with people. And then as a collective, you have more power in numbers for sure. But I think petitions do have a purpose and they do serve a purpose. But everyone has their different approach, right? Solidify public sentiment. Indeed, petitions solidify public sentiment. So there is kind of the optics of it as well, of having that kind of mass public support as well, getting the public on your side. So it is beneficial for sure. I'm convinced that she hates black men even more so than racist men do. That's why I don't think she has a lot of white men. They don't support her. You're talking about Cynthia G. Yeah. I mean, how can you? The only people who support her are like bitter black women who have buyer's remorse, or just people, who had really, really negative, relationships with black men or daddy issues or something. I don't know, because she's just all hate and negativity. Synthetic weave. But yeah, Synthetic Weave runs her mouth about mulatto people, and she was a pro-WAC before she became a divester. So there kind of is an interconnection there. I want to talk about that. She was a pro-WAC, So she was pushing all the, anti-mulatto conspiracy theories. So in her new grift, the divester grift, so for sure she's going to continue on with that tradition. But yeah, it's questionable how effective they are. Yeah, indeed. I'll definitely sign that. Have been shut down for hate speech. Yeah, you guys heard her on with Dr. Umar. They went at it, and Dr. Umar is calling her queen and all this stuff, and she like doesn't, she's talking her like hate rhetoric. It's insane. That's the thing, man. They'll call everyone a queen, and you go into pro-black circles, man. They'll call someone who's a criminal a king. Someone who's a homeless guy sleeping on a cardboard box, they'll call him, that's your king. Like, wasn't that in Black Panther with Killmonger? It's like, that's your king there. I mean, literally everybody can't be a king and a queen, but that's the delusion with the pro-wax. You got some of them calling themselves gods and kings, and the delusion like they're so special. You got to produce and show work. You can't just blame white people for your whole existence. I mean, that's very miserable. And what was I going to say about that? I've been talking a lot. Damn, I'm at the 2-hour mark. What was I going to say about that? Yeah. Okay. So Tupac has a song called Dear Mama, I think it was. And he says, even though you were a crack fiend, mama, you're still a black queen. I mean, come on, guys. Come on. That's the type of delusion we're talking about. You can be a crackhead, a crack fiend, but you're still a queen or a king. Give me a break, guys. I'm going to close up pretty quick, guys. I've been going 2 hours. James Earl Jones, definitely. He's a mulatto. James Earl Jones. Lord Vader, yeah, for sure. How respectable that black equals hood. I didn't make the rules either. I'm not the one who's saying that. Like I said, when I connect with like my African side, my black side, I look at West Africa as a reference. I'm an American born in America, but I look at something that's more authentically black and African, because the culture in America, the hood culture, I'm not from the hood, and I don't want to be. I don't want to be a part of a culture where you lie and you steal and scam and you hurt your own people. That's not something I want to be a part of. And that's, and you flex on your own people based on your clothes and your cars and how much money and how many chicks you got. You flex on your own. Like, I'm good. Not interested. Yeah, she's one of my favorite artists for sure. Definitely. Yeah, by your side. Yeah. I like this song. What song? I don't want to play it here for like the copyright. Kiss of Life. I think that's probably my favorite jam. Or like Turn My Back on You, or Maureen. She's got a lot of songs. I like all her songs pretty much. The Sweetest Taboo. Love is King. A lot of good ones from the UK. Classy, beautiful, talented, female, elegant. Exactly. She is definitely a good representation of a mulatto woman. I would definitely put Sade up there. So I'm sorry, Miss Mulatto, but yeah, I'm sorry, but you got to kind of take a seat. We'll let, Sade be a great representation for us as far as elegance and class and beauty. I think she has the best voice, on the planet, in my opinion. Some of the best biracial artists are from the UK and Cosmo, Journey. Yeah, for sure. Some, yeah, they're all over the place, all over the world for sure. Most mulatto women are in the hood culture in the United States, to be honest. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really agree with that because I wasn't raised in the hood. I was raised in Southern California, like Orange County area. But even going to like San Diego and certain parts of LA, it depends the proximity where you are at. But I agree. I mean, what you say is partially true, but not always. But yeah, I'm not into the hood stuff. But that is kind of a general assumption that it really depends on their environment. So if they're in the hood, and also their kind of upbringing with their parents. So it really depends, right? Because I've met a lot in Orange County that were not hood, that were elegant women, spoke well, and were respectable. So, and my sister's one of them. So she's very respectable. A lot of people need to understand hood culture is not the only way to intune a black culture. That's what I'm saying. Like, go to Africa, go to a black nation where people have pride in who they are, where they're not trying to claim that they're Indian, that they're indigenous, that they're Hebrew Israelite, that these people that you'll find in Africa, they're proud of their heritage. Like in Ghana, if they're from the Ashanti Kingdom, They're proud to be from that tribe. Or if they're in Cape Coast, it's the Fenty people. So depending on I've never been to Nigeria, but you got Igbo people, Yoruba. You'll find these people are very proud of their culture, and there's so many different cultures where I encourage people to explore that. Some of them are calling, yeah, I saw a video. They're calling themselves gods. You got to just laugh at a lot of the characters. The church is mainly dark-skinned black people, particularly dark-skinned, who hate white women, devils, because they thought, yeah, but the funny thing about that is they all worship white people. That's a sad truth about a lot of them. They got the picture of white Jesus on the wall, so they worship white people. So that's the interesting thing. Cool. I think we're kind of at the tail end. I watched a documentary of Hebrew Israelites, and they even think Mozart was black. Well, if you look at him, he's not. But that's the thing. They're gonna say he's what do you say, a mulatto? And they'll probably, yeah. I mean, they always say that crap. They'll say that about Abraham Lincoln. It's all conspiracy theories. They'll say that about J. Edgar Hoover, the FBI guy. They make all these conspiracies to fit into their warped narrative. This is a pro-wax we're talking about, Harry Belafonte is Jamaican mulatto, whose both parents are mulattoes, Sephardic Jewish. Interesting, right? Yes, MV, it's awesome. You go to travel to Africa, that's goals, yeah. I always plug Ghana. Go to Ghana. Great reference. It'll change your perception. When you visit these American cities, majority black cities, and you go to an all-black nation, you'll see people that have so much pride. You look at even in their face, people are just generally happier. They're proud. You'll know right away when you get there. And it's very uplifting. You'll look at them, you'll be like, wow, these people have a culture. They're proud of who they are. And they embrace you, even though you're an outsider. A lot of them, they'll call you white. They called me white, a lot of them. Well, a few, I wouldn't say a lot, but I was only there 2 weeks. But a lot of them will embrace you. Even though you're different, they know you're different. They'll embrace, like I said, they'll share their culture with you. They're not going to gatekeep you and kind of ostracize you. And then at the same time, they want you to come back. You're still black. The white people, they racist. They don't like you. Come back. They're not going to play that game with you like you have in the States. The other spheres would prefer mulatto over Sade. Yeah, you're talking about the golden sewer. Yeah. Supposedly Epstein was. And then he said here, yeah, Elvis. Yeah, I mean, all the conspiracy theories. I like both mulatto and Sade, but Sade is top tier. She mulatto music is not great, honest. Yeah, I might listen to a track or two of hers if I work out. But like if I wind down the evening or something, for sure I'll listen to Sade, or even during the day to mellow out the mood. So definitely Sade is my favorite artist for sure that I can think of right now. She has to overplay her blackness because her black female, exactly. Yeah, and her black male fan base. She has a lot of males who like her and who, yeah, it's just the ghetto hood culture. And good for her, she's making money, but not all of us. We have to know we don't need to do that. We don't need to do that. We can be who we are and accept our, heritage from both sides, our love sources, and we're unique. We don't have to fit into that mold of being extra ghetto, extra blacky black, like Miss Mulatto, and then also Michi X. We don't have to fall into that. We can honor our cultures and embrace who we are. I'm going to finish that out, guys, because I've been going on for 2 hours. I really appreciate you guys being here tonight, contributing. It's been a pleasure. Love you guys, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Peace.